So for CSS obfuscation, what is CSS? Cascading style sheets. It's a web language used for declaring the visual design of a web page written in HTML. CSS allows the web developers to separate the presentation of a document from its content, making it easier to create and maintain visually appealing web pages. Web pages. Sorry, CSS can also be embedded directly into an existing HTML document using the style elements. So I have like an introduction here. You can read it up on Geeks for Geeks. It's a language designed to simplify the process of making web pages presentable. It allows you to apply styles to HTML documents, describing how a web page should look by prescribing colors, font spacing, and positioning. So it saves time, it's easy maintenance, and all that. Where am I going to? Okay, I think I saw. Okay, CSS is essential for creating visually appealing and maintainable web pages. So all those fine things you see on your web pages, they're actually made by CSS. So that's just what you need to know right now. But if you want to read more, good. Now CSS obfuscation, right? Before learning how to secure CSS, let us first explore what are the threats that would cause through CSS. Let us assume that we are using embedded. Do I need to? No, we don't need all this really. Okay, let's just do it really so that you have an idea. Let us assume that we are using embedded or internal CSS in our code, and you're allowing a user some CSS customization. Then there is a chance that the attacker could inject a JavaScript code by closing the style tag in the customizable internal CSS. So what this means is that if you have something like this, if you have a CSS that allows a user, you have to interact with the web page, right? So it allows a user to input their own specific stuffs. It's supposed to be for good. That's it. These things are supposed to be for good things, but you have people with malicious intent. So the attacker could add a malicious JavaScript by closing the style tag and adding a script tag as shown below. Do you understand? So they just do what they are supposed to do. So that's why how to secure CSS, proper access control level, then CSS obfuscation. This is where we are coming to. The method CSS obfuscation is to make the CSS unclear or confusing to the attacker. CSS obfuscation can be done by using the following websites. We have this cssobfuscator.com and uglyfirecss.com. So that's our own concern right now. We've done HTML obfuscation. We are moving to CSS obfuscation. These are just there are ways that our websites are being rendered. You can check HTML on these Geeks for Geeks and you have enough information. So in our file, the CSS style sheet makes up a good portion at the beginning of the document and is contained within the opening style and closing style. So once you see style, you can be okay, that's CSS. The CSS has also gone through a minifier, just like our HTML, to remove unnecessary white space, comments, and other characters that are not needed for the browser to interpret and display the styles correctly. If we wanted to understand the style sheets more, we would copy and paste it into a CSS Beautify tool to make it more readable. CyberChef can also perform CSS Beautify and CSS Minify operations. However, another good example is this. So if you don't want to use a CyberChef, you can use CSS Beautify too. This just showing you what it should look like normally, the CSS when it is unminified, and when it's down, you can see all these spaces has been removed and it has been compressed. So the style sheet has been run through a CSS obfuscator tool like a minimizer. A CSS obfuscator transforms the CSS code to make it difficult to read and understand without affecting its functionality. It is typically used to protect the intellectual property of the code, making it difficult for others to copy, modify, or reverse engineer it. Often, in the case of phishing and credential capture web pages, attackers will directly copy the CSS style sheets from known trusted websites. When you think of the Google or Microsoft sign-in page, Then by obfuscating the copy style sheets, it makes it harder for antivirus engines and sandboxing agents to detect the stolen style sheets. This section was covered for the sake of thoroughness. However, we can effectively ignore everything before the closing style tag and add some line breaks to separate things visually. What is this reverse of CSS minify? That's CSS beautify. So basically, they just want you to be aware that the same way attackers can have malicious content for HTML obfuscation, that's the same way they can have for CSS obfuscation too. So we have the CSS obfuscator to minimize it, then we have the CSS beautify to expand it, to de-obfuscate it. Yeah, right. So that's the end for today. Thank you.